G'day everybody, I've had a question, why don't I recommend apartments? And there's a very good reason why I don't recommend apartments, including myself personally being stung by it. When you buy an apartment, you have to buy it off the plan. So the way that works is the property developer comes along and they find a block of land, and then they might want to build a complex of say 300 apartments. To do that, what they have to do is they have to go and sell about a third, probably 50% now, of those apartments off the plan. So what they do is they go and get a graphic artist and an architect, and they'll put together some glossy brochures to explain how the property's going to look, and then they'll go and get some salespeople to sell the apartments off the plan. You as a would-be investor come in and you look at the apartment, you look at all the glossy brochures, you think wonderful, you put down a 10% deposit and you sign an unconditional contract to buy that property in 18 to 24 months time when the construction is complete. Now here's the problem with that. The first problem is this. At the time you make your decision to buy, the market is in a certain point. Usually the rental yields are high in that area and there's good pricing in that area, hence why they're building a development there in the first place, because they know that they can add 200 or 300 apartments to the market and theoretically be able to sell them. So on paper at that time it looks really good, but in 2 years' time when it comes online, it's actually far from that. What actually happens is those apartments all come on the market at the same time. And whilst half of them might be owned by owner-occupiers, the other half are owned by investors. And what do all those investors do? Straight away want to rent their property out. So when that apartment building is finished, all of those apartments, including yours, will come on the market at the same time for rent. So that high rent you thought you were going to get 2 years ago could drop dramatically because the market gets flooded with available rental stock and they have to drop rents in order to encourage people to go in there. So once that happens, then the next thing to follow is prices. And what happens is the people who would be investing then don't get the rent they think they can, and then they realise that they've actually can't hold the property, so they immediately try and sell. And when they try and sell, the market gets flooded with sales and the prices drop again. So this can then be amplified in some cases, like we're seeing in Brisbane right now, where there is something like 20 residential towers being built in Brisbane. All of these residential towers were marketed and sold over 2 years ago now, about 1 to 2 years ago. And at that time, there was very good numbers in terms of valuations and rent returns. So they were all sold on that promise. But what's happening now is they're coming online and the banks, people are going to get their finance to settle on the property, and the banks are valuing the property for less than what they signed the contract for. And because they signed the contract, they have to buy it at that price. So we've got a whole heap of people who can't get the finance and are losing their 10% deposit. Other people who have to go and top the finance up because they got approved to buy it. The banks valued it at the new price, might be 50 or 100 grand less. So they have to go and borrow that money, but then find the rest of the money from somewhere else because they must buy at the higher price that they signed the contract on. Apartments can be really dangerous. In boom times, people, if you know what you're doing and you're a seasoned investor, you can make some money on apartments, but generally you should stay the hell away from apartments because they're bad news. That's it for me today. Cheers.